It's an SUV, it's pure electric, and yet it's a Mustang. Yes, of course, this is the Ford Mustang Mach-E, or to be precise, this is the all-wheel drive extended range Mach-E, which gets a range of 335 miles from a usable battery of 88 kilowatt hours. Before we go any further, don't forget to subscribe to the CarGurus UK YouTube channel and turn on notifications so that you don't miss any of our videos. Now, I know that lots of people who love cars, myself included, are going to be a bit weird about this being a Mustang. It can be a little bit hard to stomach the idea of an electric SUV Mustang. I'm personally a bit more upset about the idea of it being an SUV than electric. But do you know what? Let's just accept it. That is marketing, and that pony on the nose of this car is really more of a brand than a model line now. And let's look at it in context of how it stacks up against other electric family SUVs. Now, for a start, it's actually quite good value. So compared to rivals like the Jaguar I-Pace, it's quite cheap. It starts from around about £40,000 for the smaller battery option, or by the time you get to the bigger battery all-wheel drive model that we've got here, you're looking at nearly £60,000. Not only that, but this looks really cool, I think. Maybe that nose is a little bit awkward, a bit too long for the rest of the car, but that window line, the back of the car with its real Mustang lights, I think it looks really cool. But before we start talking a bit more about the practicality of the Mustang and how it drives, of course, here are 5 things that you need to know about the Ford Mustang Mach-E. The extended range Mustang will take around 13 hours for a full charge from a 7 kilowatt home wall box, and the Type 2 socket is also compatible with most AC public charging stations in Western Europe. Rapid charging is via the CCS socket, which tops out at 150 kilowatts on the extended range model, delivering 100 miles of range in under 20 minutes. The 50 kilowatt chargers you more commonly find in the UK will take some 45 minutes to do the same. The Ford comes with a cable to plug into your standard 3-pin domestic socket, and there's an interchangeable connector to give you access to 3-pin industrial sockets. You also get your standard Type 2 cable for plugging into a home wall box and AC public chargers. The Mach-E gets keyless entry as standard via the key fob, your smartphone, or via a code on the door. It also has no conventional door handle, just these fixed hooks and a release button. The huge 15-inch touchscreen really dominates the interior. It gets over-the-air updates, there's also wireless Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, sat-nav, Bluetooth, digital radio, and there's a physical volume control mounted in the screen. Every EV has drive modes of some kind, but we particularly like the Ford's slightly cheesy version, Whisper, Engage and Untamed. The Mach-E is a little bit longer than an I-Pace, but a bit shorter than an e-tron, but it is still a practical car. It gets a 402 litre boot, which is by no means the biggest in the class, but I think the boot actually feels a bit bigger than that claimed figure suggests. And you've got this useful little storage space under there, and an extra 81 litres in the front of the car, which is perfect for cables. It's much the same story back here too. You might think that there would be a bit of a restrictive headroom because of that raked back roofline on the Mach-E, but actually there's plenty of headroom even with the panoramic roof that you get in this model, and there's loads of leg room, and because you get this straight through space here, you could even get a third person in with a bit of a squeeze. So it's actually pretty good. I would state that the obvious, there is no 7-seat option in the Mach-E, so if you want that kind of thing, you're going to have to look to cars like the Tesla Model X. Perceived quality in the cabin for the Mach-E is such a big step forward for Ford. It's virtually up there with some of those more premium rivals, these sort of material finishes. It's all really nice, it feels properly built as well. And let's not forget, it is a much cheaper car than cars like the I-Pace and the e-tron. So I think you're going to forgive the fact that some of the steering wheel buttons feel a bit cheap. And of course, it's a very minimalist looking dash because everything that you want to control the car is in this screen. Now, it's very Tesla-like, and in that respect it works quite well. You've got your temperature controls down here. So lots of people don't like temperature controls in the screen. I'm inclined to agree, but at least here they're fixed, so they're always visible and they're quite easy to use. You don't lose them when the nav map comes up, that kind of stuff. And you've got this quite cool sort of physical volume control. I really like it. I think the graphics are good. It's pretty easy to use. I wish it were easier to dim the screen, but apart from that, I've not got much to complain about really. The driving position too is all pretty good. Seats really comfy, not great visibility out to the back, but other than that, this is a really nice place to be. Some may be disappointed that there is no head-up display on offer, but you do get this slim, minimalist digital driver display. Enough of that, let's head out and see if this car can drive like a Mustang. there are two battery options in the Ford. You can have a 68 kilowatt hour or an 88 kilowatt hour, which is what we've got here. And that is usable battery capacity as well. Don't forget that some manufacturers claim total. It does affect power output as well, depending on which battery you choose, as well as whether you go for rear-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. This being the full-fat top-spec model, we have got 346 brake horsepower, and you get a 0 to 62 mile per hour time in 5.1 seconds. So this is not a slow car. But having said that, it's also not got that real urgent kind of punch of acceleration that you get in things like Model S's. It's a bit more moderate than that. It's not to say it's not fun. So the throttle response is really easy to modulate. That's quite nice. If you stick this in untamed, you even get a quite cool sort of augmented engine noise going on in that as well. It's really good fun. It sort of claws its way around corners. It's quite neutral and grippy. It's not a playful handling character, but it's definitely good fun. You can really fire it through a corner and you get quite heavy steering in untamed. I think the steering's a bit too light in Whisper for me, and it's really good. It really sort of seems to tuck itself in and takes a really tight line. It's cool. You can really enjoy it. There is definitely a proper edge of excitement to this car. It's not a sports car, but by electric SUV standards, it's very good. The only thing I would say is a bit of a letdown is the ride comfort. So you don't get adaptive dampers on the Mach-E, and I have to say it's just a bit too lively, especially over undulations. That vertical spring movement is a bit too much. It's really kind of a bit tiresome over some surfaces. It does settle down over most of the time, especially on the motorway. It's really nice, but it could definitely be a little bit better. In terms of the range, which is something that a lot of people are going to worry about, if you go for the rear-wheel drive version of this, you get 379 mile claimed range. In this one, we're seeing 270 miles today, which is actually pretty good. That figure was achieved in quite wintry conditions, so expect to see over 300 miles to a charge in the summer. There is more of an aspect of expectations to this car than with most. Thanks to that Mustang badge, a lot of people might be expecting a really thrilling, exciting drive, and to be honest, might be a bit underwhelmed on that front. However, if you're after a really great family electric car that's also got an edge of excitement to the way it drives, as well as being practical, really modern and high-tech, also decent range, then this is absolutely fantastic. And for the money, it's one of our favourite electric cars, one of our favourites in the class, and just generally one of the best EVs you can buy. Don't forget to like our video, subscribe to the channel, and head to cargurus.co.uk for a whole host of fantastic used cars from top-rated dealers.